Hey guys, Sean here, and welcome to sorta kinda the last day of Call of Duty Ghosts' Good or Bad Idea series. Tomorrow we are doing kind of a wrap-up summary of everything that went down, and that's probably going to be how we close it out. So tomorrow should be a summary, but today we do have some final things to touch on as to whether or not I think it's a good or bad idea. And this episode is going to be a little bit harder to do the good or bad thing at the end because it is called extras or something along those lines, and we are kind of going over just extra things that I think I should mention, as they don't fit into a category themselves, nor could they take a whole video themselves, but they are important to the game nonetheless. So we're going to start with scoreboards. Scoreboards as in the in-game scoreboards. In previous Infinity Ward games, as you may remember, it shows you kills, deaths, assists, and your score, but it doesn't show you anything related to like tags picked up and kill confirmed, or flag captures in CTF, or domination, or whatever. It doesn't show you any of that stuff. It only shows you how many kills you have, how many times you died, your assists, and stuff that is not related to the objective portion of the game type. In Treyarch games, however, you do see your flag caps, you see your flag returns, you see dog tags picked up, and kill confirmed. You see all these things that are related, and all the stuff that's related to the objective play in the game, and it's really cool, and it's helpful because, when you have a guy in your team in like kill confirmed, for example, who's 50-0, but you're losing, you're like, why? And in a Treyarch game, you can see that because he's only picked up 2 of his dog tags from the people he's killed. But in Infinity Ward games, you don't know who's doing their job and who's just sitting in a corner doing absolutely nothing and not contributing anything to the team. And it's hard to tell, and it's a helpful thing, it's a cool thing, it's a cool feature, and it's not that difficult, I don't think, personally, to get it done, because if you remember in Modern Warfare 3, when you go into the scoreboard, like leaderboard things, outside of the game, like in the barracks thing, you can see how many dog tags you've picked up and all these things. So the stats are there, it's just they're not in-game. And again, I'm here to report that, once again, unless there's an update, Infinity Ward has none of those scoreboard features in Call of Duty Ghosts. It's back to the Modern Warfare 3, actually, technically it's back to the 2007 COD 4, scoreboard that shows you no information that isn't kills or deaths, basically, and it's totally useless, and it's really disappointing. It's kind of annoying. It's, Call of Duty has this thing where one company makes a game, the other company makes a game next year, and like we keep falling backwards with certain things when we switch games over, and it's unfortunate and it's annoying. And this is one of those things where it's kind of almost unacceptable at this point to not have done this with the scoreboard. Like it's not that hard, really. It's not that difficult to get it done. You've had ample years to do it because, it was like, I think that it was like that in Black Ops 1, and then it fell backwards again in MW3 where Infinity Ward didn't do it, and then it was back again in Black Ops 2, and then, again, it's falling backwards with Infinity Ward. Like, I'll give you 1 year to figure it out, but the second time around, you don't get to do this. You don't get to fuck this up. So, really disappointing. That's a bad idea. I think that's how we're going to do this. We're going to do bad related to each of the extras independently. So now moving on to CODCaster, which is not returning under the name CODCaster, and up to this point was not returning at all. However, I don't know what this means, but today Infinity Ward tweeted out a Vine where they showed broadcaster, like enable broadcaster mode or something like that. So they've added something similar to CODCaster. Again, we hold our breath as we don't know what it is, but assuming that it's at least similar to CODCaster. I don't expect it to have the map that we had where it shows where everyone is in the game on the mini-map thing. I don't expect it to have that. But if it at least has the scoreboard at the top of the screen, centered kind of like, a sporting event, then I'll be pretty satisfied with that. So it's definitely a good idea to bring it back. I'm really hoping that they bring it back, so that's how that is. Now moving to theater mode. Theater mode is not returning. And their reasoning is because the new consoles, the Xbox One and the PS4, have, DVRs built into them. So they record everything you do, and there is no need for theater mode according to them. Well, I beg to differ. I think that the ability to fly the free cam is really cool, and at times it's important to videos that go up on YouTube to be able to free cam this thing that happened in the game in theater mode. And I think that at times you want someone else's perspective. I just think that overall theater mode is a good idea. I think that the real reason it's not returning, if I had to be honest with you, And I don't know what's going to happen when Treyarch comes back next year with their game. I don't know what's going to happen, but I think the real reason is if you remember, Modern Warfare 3's theater mode sucks. You cannot first-person anyone else's perspective. They didn't have the dolly... it's just bad. It's overall a terrible... It's a terrible system. It barely functions. And I remember not using it in Modern Warfare 3. Like, I went back to the ways of before Black Ops 1, where I just had to sit there and manually record every game and then keep the ones that I liked, which, you know, is how it's going to have to be again, because it's awful. Like, it's just awful. It's just flat out awful. Like, it's the worst thing ever. And so I think what really happened is Infinity Ward knew it was awful. They had an out as to why it wasn't returning. They didn't feel like trying to improve it, or they didn't know how, and they were just like, you know what, we're going to scrap it all together and just say, hey, they get the DVRs. Because we're missing out on free cam. We're missing out on being able to show or look at other people's perspective, and I think that really is bad for me. I really like that stuff, and I hope Treyarch brings it back. I don't know if they will, but I figure since they have a pretty solid theater mode already, even if they don't do too much to it and improve it in any way, I think that, you know, you might as well bring it back, because I think it's really it's a cool feature, and I would like to see it return. So I think it's a bad idea that theater mode's not returning. Now we'll get to the esports features. At the moment, we don't know what they are. Again, this goes back to that same Vine that I was talking about earlier. They tweeted a button that says enable esports features. Again, I have no idea what that means. Not a goddamn clue as to what that is. Hopefully, what it should be is like, you know, enabling things like friendly fire and enabling, you know, our time limits that we set and all those things. I don't know what it means, honestly. It should lock the lobby at 8 people, so it's 4v4. It should do things like that. I don't know what that's going to do, so I'm not sure. And then finally, we're going to wrap up on one last kind of extra thing. So I think the esports feature is good as long as they either have all the stuff we need or work with us to improve that feature. And then finally, it's the game modes. We get 3 things in the game modes. Well, 4 things. First of all, domination, which is returning, obviously, but it's returning back with the old rules. If you remember in Black Ops 2, they brought it back, but they added that you switch sides after 5 minutes and then the scores add together. That's how we've played it in competitive for years. I think that is it's really important, and I think it's the best way to do domination, personally. And Infinity Ward, in true Infinity Ward fashion, is reverting back to the old ways because they don't innovate and they just do the same thing over and over and over again. And even when, you know, the other company does something, they don't follow, and it's annoying because every time we move between games, it's like we just lose everything we got. Like every new thing that happened, we drop it, and it's annoying. And it always feels like both companies are playing catch up, but the only one who ever tends to take good ideas with them are Treyarch. You know, if they want to argue that they don't like that way of domination, I will give them the benefit of the doubt. But considering that it seems to just be pure laziness and not really, or just refusal to use Treyarch's ideas, which is kind of what more I think it is, because if you look through history, they will not do anything Treyarch does. They hate it. So I have a feeling that it's more of that than anything, but I think that domination with switching sides makes a lot more sense. We're going to now have to manually do that, and it's just stupid because we're probably going to try and play domination again this season for competitive, and so I feel like we're back to adding it up on a piece of paper, you know, off to the side, and that's just stupid and unnecessary. And, you know, if you wanted to, Infinity Ward, you could have taken that idea and somehow evolved it to make it your own, but not doing anything is unacceptable as far as I'm concerned. Then we need one extra thing that I'm adding in, well, 2 extra things that I'm adding in. I want a competitive playlist, so our game types with our maps, with our rule set, I don't need it to be a league play, you know, where it ranks us. I would love league play, but it's not happening, so just adding a playlist in that we can do that, you know, that way, so that we can all play the game types we want to play with our rules in 4v4. I think that would be nice. Which, it's doable, it's just whether or not they do it. They removed S&D from the public playlist, so you can't play Search and Destroy anymore in matchmaking. You can still play it in custom games, but it's been replaced by Search and Rescue in matchmaking. I think that is absolutely idiotic. Search and Destroy is a very popular playlist, and I know Search and Rescue is similar, but Infinity Ward's excuse of Search and Rescue evolved from Search and Destroy is pathetic because Kill Confirmed evolved from Team Deathmatch, but they didn't remove Team Deathmatch, so there's no reason to remove Search and Destroy. That should be just flat out in there. And then I would also like them to add CTF in, again, at least in custom games like S&D is. I think Search and Destroy will eventually get a playlist. I don't think they're going to be able to hold out on that too long, unless people really like Search and Rescue, but I don't think they're going to be able to hold out on that. But I think that we should at least be able to have CTF in the custom games. I think that it would be very easy to implement. I don't know where they put the Blitz rings, but I assume that we could just put the flags in where the Blitz rings are on each map, and then that would be that solved, I would assume, I would guess. So I would really appreciate that. And then one final thing I want to note here is kind of an idea I had, which is that I think possibly the reason a lot of game types are missing from this game, you know, if you just look back to the other ones, there's tons of game types and there's like none in this one in comparison. I would venture to guess that it has to do with dedicated servers and not having enough servers to run all of them, because you need servers to run each one of them, and I don't know how many they have, but I assume that they don't have enough. So one way I think you could rectify that problem is by doing two different, like, you know how you go into Modern Warfare 3, because that's their game, and you go to Standard, you hit Standard, and it opens up all these things, and then you hit, I think it's Community, and it opens up all these other playlists. I think you could do Standard and put under it that, you know, Standard game types run on dedicated servers, and then that would be all the game modes that they have. And then you could do a second menu, which is Community, and you could go back to the way Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 2, all those are run, which is peer-to-peer. And you could say, Community playlists run on peer-to-peer hosts, so that it's not dedicated servers, it's back to the old way. And then you could actually have all these playlists available. So things like CTF, Search and Destroy could go in there. I don't know, I don't play it, but I put Drop Zone on my list. You know, things like that could return without taking up server space, so even if not a lot of people were in them, it wouldn't be, like, detrimental, and it wouldn't cost a ton of money. Other things like, you know, Sabotage, which I know isn't popular, but Sabotage, stuff like that could return without costing Activision and Infinity Ward a ton of money. I think that's a really good way to handle it, if that is, in fact, what the issue is and why we have so few playlists this time around. And people are like, well, they'll add in playlists as we go, and I fully expect them to add some in, but there are a lot of things missing that I would like to see return, and since in my heart, I feel it's the servers and just not having a lot of them, or not wanting to pay for all of them, if they think that there's going to be more people in the other playlists. Because I thought this before, and then when I was informed that Search and Rescue had replaced Search and Destroy in public playlists, like there was no Search and Destroy, I was like, I don't know, to me that sounds like there's something up that isn't just making decisions because they think that these game types are the best. That tells me that there's some other underlying reason as to why they're making these decisions, and that's the only one I can think of. Maybe there's something else, but that's the one I feel there is. And I feel like maybe even if the, you know, you wanted to, you could do a playlist. Maybe this is what they'll do with Search and Destroy and Search and Rescue. It's the same playlist. I don't know, search and something you could call the playlist. I don't know, the search playlist or something. And it could just have both Search and Rescue in there, and then, you know, you vote, and sometimes you play Search, sometimes you play Search and Rescue, whatever. I think that would be a good way to handle it while still running it on dedicated servers, because I don't think they're going to do my idea, although I think my idea is pretty solid. So, anyways, I'm going to wrap it up. My gameplay is wrapping up twice over now, and so those are my thoughts. Overall, on the extras, it's kind of a mixed bag. Some things are good, some things are bad. I think they're missing out on a lot of things that they should have. You know, I gave my recommendations. I don't think anyone will ever see this from Infinity Ward, but if you do, those are my recommendations. I think it's a bad idea with the scoreboards in theater mode, but overall, I think that they did alright in my extras department. If I missed any extra things, you can leave them below, and maybe I'll pick them up tomorrow for the summary. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.